Welcome to my channel. World Scene News. Subscribe to my channel for news updates all around the world. Kong wasn't exactly a beach holiday kind of ape. He was more at home among the tangled vines and ancient trees, where the only sound was the wind rustling through the leaves and the distant calls of unseen creatures. The idea of sun, sand and surf was as foreign to him as the world beyond his island. Yet sometimes, even the mightiest king feels the pull of curiosity, a whisper that there might be something more out there, just beyond the horizon. He preferred misty mountains and the solitude of his island. The thick fog that clung to the peaks was his comfort, a shroud that kept the world at bay. Here, he was ruler and guardian, his every step echoing through the silent valleys. The mountains were his fortress, a place where he could roam free, undisturbed by the chaos of the outside world. But a strange, sweet scent lured him away, promising something new. It drifted on the breeze, weaving through the trees and over the cliffs, tickling his senses, and stirring a restlessness he couldn't ignore. It was unlike anything he'd ever smelled, honeyed, almost floral, with a hint of something wild and unknown. Against his better judgment, Kong followed the scent, each step taking him further from the safety of his mountain home. The journey led him to a cliff overlooking the vast, roaring ocean. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. Waves crashed against jagged rocks far below, sending up plumes of white spray. The horizon stretched on forever, a never-ending expanse of blue and gray. Kong had never seen anything so immense, so alive with movement and sound. For a moment, he hesitated, awed by the sheer power of the sea. He lumbered down, feeling the sand and the cool, salty water on his toes. The ocean was unlike anything he'd seen, endless, powerful, mysterious. Each step left a deep impression in the wet sand, quickly washed away by the tide. The sensation was strange, almost playful, but beneath it all was a sense of unease. The water tugged at his feet, as if inviting him to venture further, to discover what secrets lay beneath its surface. He watched odd birds and scuttling crabs, everything so different from home. The air was thick with salt and a sharp metallic tang. Seagulls wheeled overhead, their cries piercing the steady roar of the surf. Crabs darted in and out of tiny holes, vanishing at the slightest movement. Every creature seemed to be in a hurry, as if they knew something. He didn't. The beach was alive with unfamiliar sights and sounds, a world apart from the quiet of his island. Kong's instincts screamed that something was wrong. The sea life vanished, the birds fled, and a strange stillness settled. The once busy shoreline grew eerily quiet, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Even the waves seemed to hush, their rhythm broken by an unseen tension. Kong's heart pounded in his chest, every muscle tense for danger. He had learned long ago to trust his instincts. They had kept him alive through countless battles. The metallic scent grew stronger, and the water seemed to hold a secret. Kong stood his ground, knuckles brushing the water, ready for whatever came. He scanned the horizon, searching for the source of the unease that gripped him. The ocean, so beautiful moments before, now felt like a living thing, watching, waiting, hiding something just out of sight. He crouched low, every sense alert, determined not to be caught off guard. He was the king, and he would face any threat. But he couldn't shake the feeling that this holiday was about to go very, very wrong. The world beyond his island was wilder than he'd imagined, full of dangers he had never faced. Yet, Kong was not one to back down. He drew himself up to his full height, chest heaving, eyes fixed on the restless sea. Whatever was coming, he would meet it head-on. The ocean's beauty masked a lurking danger. Kong braced himself, wishing he'd brought a bigger stick. The adventure had only just begun, and already he sensed that this journey would test him in ways he'd never imagined. As the sky darkened and the wind picked up, Kong stood firm, ready to defend his title as king, even if it meant facing the unknown terrors of the deep. Trouble began with a glint, a flash of silver beneath the waves, so brief and bright it could have been a trick of the light. But it wasn't. The ocean, usually calm and inviting, suddenly seemed to hold its breath, as if it too sensed something unnatural stirring below the surface. Soon, thousands of shimmering points of light swirled in the water, moving in mesmerizing patterns. At first, they looked like a school of fish, darting and weaving in perfect unison, their bodies catching the sunlight and scattering it in every direction. But there was something off about the way they moved, too precise, too mechanical. These weren't fish, they shone like polished steel, their bodies reflecting the light in sharp, unnatural flashes. Each one was shaped like a predator, but their skin was cold, hard metal, not scales or flesh. The water around them seemed to vibrate with their presence, The metallic smell was now overpowering, thick and acrid, burning in the nose and throat. It was as if the ocean itself was turning to rust, tainted by the presence of these unnatural invaders. Every breath felt heavy, charged with the scent of iron and oil. The glinting swarm descended on a rusted shipwreck, grinding it down with a deafening screech that echoed through the water. Metal met metal in a frenzy of destruction, sending clouds of rust and debris swirling into the current. The shipwreck, once a silent monument to the past, was being devoured piece by piece. These were sharks, but not of flesh and bone, metallic, razor-finned, with diamond-hard teeth that could slice through steel as easily as paper. Their eyes glowed with a cold, artificial light, scanning for their next target. They were relentless, unstoppable, and utterly alien. The ship was shredded before Kong's eyes, metal torn apart in seconds. The water churned with fragments of steel and clouds of rust, the once mighty vessel reduced to nothing more than scrap. It was a terrifying display of power and efficiency. The sharks moved with terrifying, hive-like precision, devouring everything metal. They worked together seamlessly, as if guided by a single mind, stripping the wreck clean in moments. Nothing was left behind but twisted, useless fragments. Kong realized the threat. These creatures didn't want him, but the world's metal, ships, bridges, cities, was all at risk. Every structure near the water, every vessel at sea, was now a potential target. The scale of the danger was almost unimaginable. On the horizon, a cargo ship approached, oblivious to the danger lurking beneath the waves. Its hull gleamed in the sunlight, a beacon for the metallic predators below. The crew had no idea what awaited them. If the swarm reached it, disaster was certain. The ship would be torn apart in minutes, its cargo lost to the depths, its crew left helpless against the mechanical onslaught. The ocean was now a ticking time bomb, its surface calm and serene, but beneath a storm of metal and teeth waited to strike. Every second counted. Kong knew he had to act. The responsibility weighed on him. He was the only one who could stand between the world and this new, relentless threat. He steeled himself for what was to come. He couldn't let the swarm reach the ship. With a surge of determination, Kong moved toward the water, ready to face the metallic predators head-on no matter the cost. The fate of more than just his holiday was at stake. The safety of the entire coastline, perhaps the world, depended on what he did next. The metallic sharks were a threat to everything. Kong prepared to intervene, knowing that this battle would decide the future of the sea and all who depended on it. The battle for the sea had begun, and Kong was ready to fight for the world above and below the waves. Kong roared, challenging the metallic swarm. He waded deeper, searching for a weapon. Spotting the shipwreck, he tore off a massive steel plate. The sharks turned, drawn to the fresh metal. They struck, latching onto his shield with a deafening screech. Kong slammed the shield down, crushing hundreds, but more kept coming. The sharks latched onto his legs, scraping his hide with razor bodies. It was like fighting the ocean itself, endless, relentless. Kong swung the steel plate, sending water and shattered sharks flying. But the swarm was overwhelming, clinging to him in a grinding frenzy. Even Kong's strength was being tested. The water slowed him, the sharks weighed him down. He was a mountain in the sea, but even mountains can be worn away. The battle was turning desperate. Kong needed a new plan. Brute force wasn't enough. Kong's shield was shredded and the sharks kept coming. He needed to outthink them. He spotted the shipwreck and the power of the waves. An idea sparked: use the ocean itself. Abandoning his shield, Kong ripped a massive section of hull free. He hoisted it overhead, water cascading off its edges. Timing his move with a rising wave, he slammed the hull flat onto the water. The impact sent a shockwave radiating outward, stunning thousands of sharks. For a moment, the swarm scattered. Kong had created a brief clearing in the chaos, but the threat was far from over. The ocean was still teeming with danger. Kong readied himself for the next assault. The king would not fall easily. The shockwave gave Kong a moment's respite. For a brief instant, the relentless chaos of the ocean stilled, and the metallic predators circling below seemed to hesitate. The water, still trembling from the force, shimmered with the afterglow of destruction. Kong, battered but unbroken, seized the opportunity to catch his breath, his massive chest heaving as he scanned the debris-strewn surface for anything that could help him survive. He climbed onto the floating hull, creating an unlikely raft. The twisted metal and splintered wood barely held together, but it was enough to keep him above the churning water. Each movement sent ripples through the fragile platform, threatening to tip him back into the jaws of the waiting swarm. Yet, with determination, Kong balanced himself, transforming the wreckage into a temporary sanctuary. From above, he saw the true scale: millions of metal sharks, regrouping. Their silvery bodies glinted beneath the waves, forming a living, shifting carpet of danger. The ocean was alive with their movement, a relentless tide of teeth and steel, all focused on the lone figure atop the wreck. The swarm attacked his raft, leaping and grinding at the metal. Their jaws clamped onto the edges, tearing at the hull with mechanical fury. Each impact sent shudders through Kong's makeshift raft, threatening to pull it apart piece by piece. The noise was deafening, a cacophony of gnashing metal and splintering wood. Kong broke off a sharp spar, fashioning a giant spear. With powerful hands he twisted the jagged metal free, ignoring the pain as it cut into his palms. He knew he needed a weapon, something to keep the swarm at bay, even if only for a few moments longer. Armed again, he jabbed at the sharks, defending his precarious island. Each thrust forced the attackers back, but they returned in greater numbers, undeterred by pain or fear. Kong's arms ached, but he fought on, refusing to let the raft become his tomb. The raft wouldn't last long under their assault. Splinters flew as the sharks battered the hull, and water began to seep through the cracks. Every second counted, and Kong knew he was running out of time. Kong realized he couldn't just defend, he had to end the threat. His mind raced, searching for a solution as the relentless swarm closed in. He understood that survival meant taking the fight to the enemy, not just holding them off. He looked to the horizon. The cargo ship was getting closer. Its silhouette was a beacon of hope, but also a reminder that he had to act quickly. If the swarm reached the ship, no one aboard would stand a chance. The swarm needed a leader, a general. Among the chaos, Kong's sharp eyes picked out a larger, more menacing shape moving with purpose. It was the orchestrator, the mind behind the madness, and the key to ending the attack. If he could find and defeat it, maybe the rest would fall. The fate of the cargo ship, and his own survival, depended on this desperate gamble. Kong's resolve hardened as he prepared for the confrontation. Kong steeled himself for the next phase. Every muscle tensed, every sense sharpened as he readied for the coming storm. He was battered, but not beaten. The battle was about to escalate. The ocean itself seemed to rise up against him, waves crashing and sharks surging in a frenzy of violence. Kong gripped his spear tighter, knowing the fight was far from over. He was a lone king against an army. The odds were impossible, but Kong had faced the impossible before. He stood tall, defiant, refusing to yield to fear or despair, but he would not back down. With every ounce of strength and courage, he prepared to face the leader of the swarm, determined to protect the ship and himself at any cost. The true enemy was about to reveal itself. In the depths below, something massive stirred, casting a shadow that dwarfed even Kong. The next chapter of the battle was about to begin. The sea parted, and something massive approached. The swarm cleared a path for their leader. Rising from the depths was the Shark King, colossal, armored, ancient. Its eyes glowed molten orange, its body scarred from countless battles. The Shark King circled Kong's raft, assessing its rival. This was a battle of monarchs, land versus sea. The Shark King's low, grinding hum vibrated through the water. Kong stood tall, spear raised, and roared his challenge. If he could defeat this monster, the swarm might break. The Shark King opened its cavernous, gear-lined jaws. The final battle was at hand. Kong's fate, and the ocean's, hung in the balance. The king would not yield. The abyss stared back. The clash of titans was about to begin. The Shark King attacked with terrifying speed. Kong couldn't dodge. He leapt straight into the monster's gaping maw. Darkness swallowed him as the jaws snapped shut. Inside, it was a nightmare of grinding gears and churning machinery. Kong landed on a platform, spear in hand. He jammed the spear into a massive gear, shattering its teeth. The internal machinery began to fail, gears flying and pistons seizing. The Shark King thrashed in agony, its control unraveling. Kong had sabotaged the beast from within. The monster's movements turned wild and desperate. Kong clung on as chaos erupted around him. He had thrown a spanner in the works. Literally, the end was near. The Shark King's death throes triggered a final defense. Electrical conduits sparked, charging for a massive blast. Kong had to escape before the core exploded. He spotted the gills, his only exit. Climbing through sparking wreckage, he dove through a gill slit just as the core detonated. The Shark King erupted in a dome of blue electricity, frying the swarm. Kong was hurled through the water by the shockwave. When he surfaced, the metallic sharks floated lifelessly. The grinding noise was gone. The ocean was silent. The threat had been neutralized by its own power. Kong had done the impossible. The sea was safe again. The king had conquered the abyss. The battle was over. Exhausted, Kong crawled onto the shore. he lay in the sun, listening to the peaceful waves. He had saved the cargo ship and countless others. The metal sharks would sink, becoming secrets of the deep. The crew would never know their savior. Kong let out a final victorious roar. He had defended this strange place as a true king. The ocean was no longer just a mystery. It was his to protect. His holiday had become a legend. As the sun set, Kong began the long walk home. He was tired, but proud. The world had monsters, but it also had a guardian. Kong, king of land, and now, protector of the waves.